on BBC Radio Lancashire, and it's 13 and a half minutes past 5 o'clock. The Lancashire Food Blog. You're in. Good afternoon to you.
Hello, hi.
Tell us your name.
Lindsay Barrow.
Lindsay Barrow, and you write Lancashire-foodblog.blogspot.co.uk.
That's correct, yes I do.
I guess if you search for Lancashire Food Blog, we'd probably find you that way, would we?
Quite luckily, if you Google me, I'm normally number 1 or number 2 on the list.
You're up there on the list.
I am up there on the list.
So what's your blog about, and what are you trying to do with it? What are you trying to achieve?
It's a hobby, and I've, over the last few years, been very interested in food and from Lancashire, where you can shop, buy, eat, grow, collect.
Everything in the county?
Everything in the county.
Right.
I will spread outside, but I'm particularly focused on local producers, local food initiatives, and just really sort of blogging about what I enjoy. I'm also an avid baker, and I like cooking and making things. So
it's I guess when you're baking and cooking, you were kind of at some point in your life looking for ingredients and thinking, why can't I just get this locally?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, we're very lucky in Lancashire. We have some fantastic food, both in terms of producers and markets and outlets, and we have a fantastic local food chain to the northwest as well. We're very lucky. We have, and I'll say it, booths, but other supermarkets are available.
Absolutely, yeah. But they're a local supermarket.
They are.
And they do bother to stock local goods, don't they?
Exactly.
So, they don't all, do they?
No.
In fact, it's only them.
They're very locally focused.
Yeah.
I also support farmers markets, producers, local outlets, and I also try and eat in locally produced venues. So I go to restaurants and do little cafes and do food blogs about them, and try and promote them and support them, because they're having a tough time, some of them.
Well, that's a sad thing, isn't it? It just seems like, just as Lancashire, to me, over the last maybe 10 years, is sort of getting its act together in a food sense. I mean, there are pockets of Lancashire that maybe aren't, but if we look at certainly the Ribble Valley, if we look at bits of Preston, you look at bits of Lancaster, kind of getting themselves together. There are other areas obviously, but there are some sort of dark spots in terms of Lancashire food really being available to buy. But then we get this horrible recession, and it makes it really, really tough for everybody to sell the produce.
Exactly, because local might mean that you have to spend a couple of pence more to buy it, but you're getting a much more superior product. But obviously, people are struggling, or to eat out locally, it might seem to be a little bit more expensive to go to the local guy down the road who's using local produce and producing a really fine product, rather than one of the nasty chain pubs and the 2 for a tenner type scenario.
Yeah.
Not saying
microwave food.
Yes.
In the main, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And not using nice fresh fruit and veg or meat and fish and whatever.
Looking at your blog here, right? Wednesday, the 13th of June, River Cottage Rocks, number 4, Baking Bliss, chocolate and garden mint cake. Chocolate and mint, it just works, doesn't it?
Exactly, it does. That was for a blog campaign nationally, supporting River Cottage, which some of you may have heard of, with Hugh Fernley Whittingstall.
Sure, yeah.
And there's a food
legend.
blogger out there who has a River Cottage Rocks campaign month on month, and this month's was Baking Bliss. So I chose a recipe out of a River Cottage recipe book and did my own variation on it and blogged about it.
So how did it work? I mean, when you get recipes out of books, sometimes it can be really quite difficult to achieve what the picture is. But I've got a picture here. Is that the one you baked?
That is, yes. That's
that
my
pretty good.
Chocolate and mint loaf. I'm a pretty avid baker, and I learnt to cook a long time ago from my grandma and my mum and a few other places.
Right.
And over the years, my baking sort of got better and better. I have less disasters. I'm actually a member of a clandestine cake club, if you've ever heard what that is.
I have not. You better explain it. What is it?
It's a group of like-minded people that meet. We bake cake. It's not a competition. We meet in secret venues, that's why it's clandestine. They're only publicised a couple of days before. And we meet with our home-baked cakes normally baked to a theme in a venue, and then we sit round and eat the
them.
cake.
Oh,
It's fabulous.
yes. Oh, that is such a good idea. I love that. Now, would that be, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but is that Mr. Lancashire Blogs through the glass there?
It sure is.
It is. So as Mr. Lancashire Blogs, did he sample the, what was it called? Chocolate and mint, garden mint cake? You did. How was it? Very good. Scale of 1 to 10, show of hands. 8.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I can get 10 out of 10 from him, but
Yeah.
8 out of 10, yeah, he does normally get to sample most things. The goodies that I've brought with me today...
Oh, look, goodies.
He's already tried those out for you, and he gives those a 10 on the Lancashire Food blog scale.
Great stuff. All right, well, we'll be back talking to you in just a few moments here on BBC Radio Lancashire, and there's some goodies in. I'm told they are vegetarian-type goodies, so that's fantastic. And we'll get to those, but we've got to do this first. I'm with Lindsay, who is from Lancashire Food blog, and I think if you put Lancashire Food blog in, we'll find you on blogspot.com, which is kind of blogging site. And before we had to travel, and John Lennon there, we were saying that it's my turn to try some stuff. So I have in front of me some breadsticks and a jar, and on that jar it says Rivington Pike sauce. Explain, what is it?
It's a homemade brown sauce equivalent, should we say, that I make nearly every year from apples from my garden,
Right.
and dried fruits and vinegar. And
So I guess you
that's
kind
the
of,
result.
your HP sauce and your other kind of varieties that you might have, they just kind of copied a recipe that was around for years anyway.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a fruity sort of sauce thing.
Yes, and that's exactly the same. It's I researched on the internet, as you do, brown sauce recipes, and came up with my own variation. And like I say, that's actually made with homemade apples, homegrown apples.
Wow.
From our trees in our garden, and I tend to make it once a year, and it normally lasts us round about a year, and it's nice, but obviously with cooked meats or with cheese or
Yeah.
with breads. And
Well, as I
that sort of
said to you, I'm a vegetarian, but I use loads of this stuff because sometimes just, kind of doing vegetables and doing this and doing whatever you do, and like your quick teas, there's not enough flavour there sometimes. So I use a lot of brown sauce, but this is nice because it's very fruity. It doesn't have the sort of the kick sometimes, the bitterness almost that brown sauce has. Absolutely fantastic. So how are you making this? What kind of preparation time is it?
It actually only
gonna
takes
chew,
a
by the
couple of hours to make that, a huge panful of it, and then I preserve it obviously for a year. So we're getting towards the tail end of obviously last year's stocks, and then we will make another.
I just love that.
Batch. Well, you can have what's left in that jar. That can
Really?
be yours. Yes, not
Fantastic.
a problem.
I will hang on to that because brown sauce goes with anything,
Oh,
as
it
far
does.
as I'm
It
concerned.
does.
You can have it with absolutely anything. Okay, so that's something that you make. What about, when you go to, we're quite interested in, we wander about. We went to the cheese walk. Have you done the cheese walks yet?
I haven't done a cheese walk.
Well, we haven't really. We got halfway round one, and then we got lost, and so we came back the way we sort of went round on the first half. But it was really good because you can go round some of the dairies at the far end of the Ribble Valley. Chipping. It's from Chipping. You kind of walk round there. But we were a bit freaked out by some cows that were looking a little bit aggressive, and there was like cows with horns. I was assuming they were bulls, if I'm honest, but I didn't like to tell that to my wife. But we wandered round there, and as we were going, we came across places and bought proper Lancashire cheese.
Which is
Lancashire cheese with that. That's a good combination, isn't it?
Fantastic. It makes a wonderful toasty, actually, Lancashire cheese with
with that
sauce.
I
Yes.
bet it does. Are there other people doing this kind of sauce, or is this just sort of your thing?
This is just my thing. We don't commercially sell it. We do give it to friends and obviously associates. But we don't make it in massive quantities.
Yeah.
But I do other sort of preserves and jams and pickles and cordials and preserving basically the harvest from one year to the next. And not only is it produce from our garden, but it will be produce from the hedgerows as well. At the moment, I'm actually running a campaign on my blog with the hashtag on Twitter of Elderflower Challenge.
Yeah, that's how I came across you.
That's right. And it's basically to encourage people to post recipes on my blog of elderflower recipes that they've they've got and they've used and been successful with, while you can forage obviously for elderflower currently at the moment. It's the white fluffy flower that's available in the hedgerows. So I thought I'd run a campaign, and it's been quite popular.
Right, so what sort of things are coming in? What can you do with elderflower?
Ice creams, panna cotta, cordials, champagne, jams. I think there's about 10 different posts currently on the blog. Somebody's done a strawberry and elderflower cream tart. So there's some really nice things on there that will give you, inspiration.
I don't think I've ever tried some of that, and you've got some here, have you?
I have. I've brought some homemade elderflower cordial with me, and also a mint syrup that I've made for the first time this year as well. Both of them you just let down with water and can be used in obviously cold drinks or in a cocktail is the other thing.
Sorbet, if you wanted to go down that route.
Yes, I've made a sorbet before with the elderflower. And the mint is really, really refreshing. Like I say, it's the first time I've made it this year, and it's beautiful. It's really nice.
These are it is like, I think you mentioned it, the harvest. It's like going back to a time, it's actually quite a few generations ago now, isn't it? But keeping these, they're not crafts, but keeping these sort of processes alive is really important, because we all hear about food security, don't we? We hear about the fact we don't grow half enough food to actually live off in this country, and if there ever was a problem with the ships, there was a problem with the world, and we couldn't get food anymore, we'd really struggle to feed ourselves. So people like you keeping this going is very important.
There has been a growth in the last, I would say, sort of 6 to 12 months of a resurgence in sort of preserving and making your home produce, obviously A, because of the recession, but B, also programmes like Great British Bake Off and some of the other food programmes that are on there. I mean, particularly Great British Bake Off has led to a massive resurgence in home baking, and that's sort of why the clandestine cake club movement came into formation as well, really, because more and more people wanted to bake cakes, but they'd nobody to eat them for them, so they wanted to share them, and that's how it came about. A lady in Leeds called Lynn Hill set up the movement, and it's just coming up to its sort of first birthday, and it started off with just one group in Leeds, and there's now over 120 across the world. What
a brilliant thing. All of my kids, 3 of them, as they head towards leaving home, which one of them has kind of done already, really, we wanted them to be able to cook some basic food, but we also wanted them to be able to bake some cakes and some buns, and that's what we have tried to do with all our kids. And funnily enough, it's my son who is like the cake fiend. He can whiz into the kitchen and knock a cake up in about 10 minutes flat, and it's ready, and it's brilliant. And it's a really important skill, because yes, you can go into the generic supermarket and buy something that's wrapped up in a plastic bag, but if you bake it yourself, it's a different taste altogether, isn't it?
Exactly, and you know what's gone into that cake as well.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's my son baking it. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll go with it.
Yes, I'm lucky. I have my own hens as well, so I know where most of the produce is coming from, and obviously you can then buy the organic or the local, flour or butter or cheese or whatever that you're actually putting in your recipe, and you just get a much more superior product. And baking's one of those things. It's about sharing the love, I think. You do put your heart and soul into baking.
I find it just chills me out. If you're kind of stressed and it's work and it's this, if you end up just baking something or trying to cook something, it's a real kind of, it's just me, the radio, I'm chilling out, I'm cooking something. At the end, I can eat it. Quick question for you. When's your next clandestine meeting?
On the 1st of July. We vaguely know the location of it. We know it's in Leyland. We know it's at a cafe wine bar. But other than that, we don't know the exact location yet.
I was going to try and trick you then. Never mind. I won't be finding out. I think I'm going to have to join the club to get involved with that. It is BBC Radio Lancashire, and we're back in the room, 27 minutes to 6 o'clock, and I'm here with Lancashire blogger, Lancashire food blogger. You'll find it if you search that. Lindsay goes by the name of Lindsay, and I'm just trying your elderflower cordial. Really nice. So, literally, this is stuff you've pretty much dragged out of some bushes somewhere. Excuse the phrase. Is that how it works?
Pretty much so, yes. I actually am so concerned to make sure that I have purity of supply of elderflower. I actually grow an elder bush in my garden, that I can collect it, knowing that it's not been near the roads or dogs feed on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's lemons, a little bit of lime, sugar, and elderflowers.
Absolutely fantastic.
And
it's the only thing I've used elderflowers in, not fresh ones, but a particular, how can I put this? It's a cosmetic shop that doesn't test on animals, very popular on the high street, been around for many years. They do an eye gel, an elderflower eye gel. I find that is absolutely brilliant. Are there any other things that you do elderflowers, that you use elderflowers for then?
Well, it is obviously a herbal medicine. It's an astringent, and that's why you use it round your eyes. It's
Is it?
very refreshing.
Tell me that.
Yes.
Right. Is it?
However, you can use it in lots and lots of different recipes. For, like I say, with milks, with icing, with in a like a crunchy icing, in panna cotta, in ice cream. So it's quite widely used. Obviously, you can then let the flowers mature and then they would become berries and become elderberries, and you can do different things with elderberries and make chutneys and jams, and some people even put them in pies. I maybe wouldn't go there myself because it's a little bit bitter. And of course you could also make alcohol out of most of them as well.
Of course, yes, of course. But you wouldn't do that?
Well, I do have been known in the past to make a wine or what they call a champagne.
Right,
You technically can't really call it a champagne because it's not made in champagne.
Because they'll sue you, won't they? Brussels will come over and sue you.
But it's a refreshing, sparkling, mildly alcoholic drink that you can make from elderflowers, or you can make, obviously, elderberry wine as well. Right,
sounds perfect. This blogging thing, when did you sort of first think, I love food, I like making stuff, I'm interested in the kind of, the using up of local produce. When did you first think, the best way I can address this is doing a blog?
Probably about 2 years ago, something like that. My blog's been going for about 2.5 years, and initially I was a little bit lost in the dark as to exactly where to take it, but in the last 12 months, what with the Cake Club and visiting food festivals and local producers and supporting local restaurants and pubs and things like that, it's all come to the fore, and it's like I can help promote them. And now that my blog fortunately has had over 40,000 hits now. I have apparently 999 followers on Twitter right at this moment. So
Is
I'm cusping the big 1,000. Yes, and I'm taking part in national campaigns now for things like beetroot and other ingredients. Beetroot. I did a campaign.
It's lovely in a salad.
Fantastic in a salad.
Yeah.
It's amazing in a butter pie, though.
Oh, yeah, actually, I could see that.
Yeah, well, there's a recipe on my blog for a beetroot butter pie.
That looks good. What do you? What's your Twitter handle? I'm trying to find you. Oh, there you go. Lindsay Barrow, Lancashire Food. You've got 999 followers. Come on, Lancashire.
Come on,
Come on now. She needs one more for 1,000. It's at Lancashire Food. If you are on Twitter, let's, in the next sort of 5 or 6, 7 minutes that we've got, well, we've got 20 odd minutes up to 6 o'clock, but we've got about 10 minutes left with Lindsay. Let's get that one more.
It also has the link, obviously, to my blog on there as well, so it's an easy way of finding my blog. I'll use many local ingredients. So, as I say, I've got some mint cordial here for you as well. The mint was grown in the garden, but it's a very similar principle to the elderflower cordial, and that's a really nice, refreshing drink as well.
Yeah. Well, look, we've not got that much time, and I need
to the cake.
Well, I just want to try a bit of that, only for professional purposes, Lindsay. Clearly, what have you got there?
I've got an almond and apricot loaf cake, and I've got white chocolate tiffin.
Wow.
Both of these are slight freestyles on the lady who won this year's Great British Bake Off recipes, but I've done a couple of little tweaks of my own within them, and they're very nice, if I do say so myself. I like a good traditional cake. Most of my friends at the Clandestine Cake Club know that I'm...
So what's a traditional cake? What do you mean? If you pass that, pass a little bit over and I'll just taste a bit, can I?
More like
Break a bit off
fruit cake, or a Madeira cake, or a Victoria sponge, or the more traditional style of cake. More of a plain cake.
That's great.
Thank you.
No. Obviously I need a cup of tea, and we're not going to get one here, because I'm not getting any tea bags with me.
Oh dear.
You're still on 999 followers.
Oh.
At Lancashire Food.
Yes, please.
You Twitter people. Come on, let's get you to 1,000.
Yes. I'm also planning in the next few weeks as well of taking part, because again, I'll help promote a local food initiative, Leyland Festival. I'm a local girl to Leyland, and they're running for the first time ever a bake-off as part of the festival celebrations on the 7th and 8th of July. The Saturday, the 7th, they're having the inaugural Leyland cake competition.
Fantastic.
And then
there aren't enough cake competitions in the world.
And then the Sunday is going to be a classic Victoria sponge, your variant on a Victoria sponge. So I'm going to be hopefully taking part in that.
Great. So, I mean, not only do you blog about it and you try and support other people that are baking and making their own kind of local produce, you love making it yourself, don't you?
I do.
Tell me about Preston.
Again, the Clandestine Cake Club, we're taking part in the Preston Cake City initiative. Lane M. Bates, who tweeted before to us.
He did, yeah.
She's one of the members. There's a couple of others as well, a lady called Orange Martini and Twit Totty on there, who will also be baking cake and taking part in the Preston Cake City celebrations, which are part of the Preston Guild Food Festival, which is in September, at the beginning of September. So basically, we're building an iconic Preston building in cake. Have we got the 1,000?
No, I'm just giving thumbs up through the glass there to my producer, who's going to do something for me now. Okay. So forgive me if that distracted you slightly. This cake is amazing. I have to say that. Is it packed with sugar? Has it got a lot of sugar in it?
It does have sugar in it, and obviously
very,
it's
very
sprinkled
nice.
with demerara on the top. We have got apricots in there. You know,
so it's part of my 5 a day. That's what you're saying.
Part of your 5 a day. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. I mean, the white chocolate tiffin that you've got, that's got cherry pieces in it and strawberry pieces. So you know,
so it's health food.
Yes.
It's a health food. That's what you're trying to tell me.
It's probably a lot healthier than a lot of the cakes you buy in the shop, anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can see that, because the thing about this sort of cake is, it's no preservatives, has it?
No.
It's not. You're not trying to have a shelf life. It might sit in a sort of a Tupperware or whatever you call it. Generic
airtight tin.
Yeah, a generic airtight tin, indeed, for a few days. But I guess it just gets eaten faster than you'd keep it, wouldn't it?
It does. It does. When I take it into work, it disappears normally quite quickly.
I love the whole movement, and we've met quite a few really interesting people over the last few weeks. And I think you're all kind of connected, aren't you? You all tweet each other.
The lady that was on last week, Ginger Baker.
You know her.
I follow her. She follows me on Twitter.
And you'll see each other at the same sort of stalls
festivals.
And fairs and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
So looking at the summer ahead, obviously the Leyland thing you're looking forward to. We've got the Clitheroe Food Festival as well coming up. Are you going to be involved with that?
Yeah, I'm attending. Of course, I'm attending.
You'll be there sampling, will you?
I will be there sampling. I was just looking at the chef's demonstrations last night. I'm pleased to say that my favourite local chef is apparently going to be appearing.
Oh, good stuff. And who would that be?
That's Chris Rollinson from the Red Cat near Wilton.
Right.
A great young local chef, won North West Young Chef of the Year a couple of years ago.
BBC Radio Lancashire, and I'm going to do another refresh of this. It was up to 100 and... See, it's not done it now. That's not refreshed it, has it? Let me try again. It was up to 1,007 last time we looked. Anyway, that's at Lancashire Food if you want to follow Lindsay. I'm going to have to say ta to you now, Lindsay, but thank you very much for coming in. I do love the Rivington Pike sauce, and I would very much like it if you get a deal with a local supermarket, let's be honest, Booths, and make it in a sort of quantity where I could buy it every week from my local shop.
Well, you'll have to come and talk to me.
Yeah. Well, we can sort that out, surely. Anyway, thank you very much. Your food blog, you can find, really, Twitter, I suppose, is quite an easy way to find you, isn't it? So if you search for at Lancashire Food, put that into Google, it'll come across your Twitter page, and then you can get the link.
I'm also on Facebook as well. I do have a Facebook group, so you can find me that way too.
Right, brilliant. Well, look, thanks very much for coming in. I very much appreciate it. And... I better give you all this stuff back, because I am just going to be so massive.
I'll leave the white chocolate tiffin for... I'm sure it'll be fine for the team tomorrow if you don't manage to eat it all.
No chance. I could never eat all of that. Listen, thanks very much. Right, that's Lindsay from the Lancashire Food blog. Now...